Hello students. So there's another very important topic for study, that is financial planning. Financial planning. And in that, we are going to study the topic of GST, that is goods and service tax. So before I start, my name is Santanu Das and I have been teaching from the last 27 years. And today we are going to see the concept of GST, and I'll try to make the concept as simple and easy as possible for you. So let's see the first question in financial planning. Question is, discount of 15% given on printed price rupees 32,000 of an article. Find purchase price of article and CGST and SGST. Okay, to find the CGST and SGST, first of all, we need to know the price. Now the price, printed price is 32,000, and as a discount of 15% is given. So first we need to calculate the discount. Discount is going to be 15% of the price. Was the price 32,000? So that comes to 15 upon 100 into 32,000. So 1010 cut. So what you are going to get is 15 3 is going to be 4,800 rupees. So the discount is 4,800. So when we are going to subtract the discount, we will come to know the taxable value of the article. Taxable value of article is going to be equal to 32,000. That was the price, and the discount given was 4,800. So when I subtract that, that comes to 27,200. So the taxable value of the article is going to be 27,200. So the GST and the SGST are calculated on this value, on the taxable value. Now what is the rate of tax? Rate of tax is not given. Acha, we had forgotten to write it. Purchase price of the article and CGST. If 12% GST charged. 12% GST charge. So the rate is 12%. So GST is going to be equal to 12% of the taxable value. We calculate the GST on the taxable value of the article, that is 27,200. So that comes to 12 upon 100 into 27,200 cut. So it's going to be 12 2s 24 to 12 7s 84, 86, and 8, 12 2s 24, 3264. So the GST is going to be 3,264 rupees, and they've asked us to find out the CGST, that is the central goods, service and tax, that is to be paid to the center, and SGST, that is the state goods, service and tax, that has to be paid to the state. So that is always equal, divided half. So half has to be given to the center and half to the state. So that is going to be CGST is going to be equal to SGST is half of the GST, the total tax collected. So that's going to be half into, the amount is 3,264. So you just subtract, you just divide it. 2 1s are 6, 3, 2. So 1,632 has to be paid to the center and 1,632 to the state. So the CGST, what were the questions? Find the purchase price. Therefore, conclusion, purchase price of article is was rupees 27,200 and CGST is rupees 1632 and SGST is rupees 1632. So this is the way to solve CGST and SGST to find out the taxes. Students, the moment they hear the word CGST and SGST, they think they are really confusing sums. Actually, it's not so. You just need to know the taxable value, and on that you find out the tax, the value, and then you just have to pay the tax, find out to calculate the tax. So it's quite simple to solve. Okay. To understand the concept better, let's see one more sum so that we totally understand the thing. So see, the X paid 18% GST on goods of rupees 8,000 and he sold the same for 9,000. So whenever a person buys something, that time he has to pay tax, and when he sells something, that time he collects tax. So when he buys, that is called as input tax, and when he sells, that is called as output tax. Okay, so let's calculate it. So purchase price of goods is rupees 8,000. Okay, so what would be the input tax? So yeah, let's write it as input tax. That is that. I'll write it tax paid on purchase. That time the tax paid, that is called as the input tax. So that is going to be, what's the rate given? 18% of the taxable value, the price, just like this sum we saw. So it's going to be 18% of 8,000. So that comes to 18 upon 100 into 8,000. So that comes to 0. 8 8 is 64, 6, 1,440. And this is called as the input tax. Now then after that, he sold the goods for 9,000 rupees. So sale price of goods is, what's the amount? 9,000. So the amount he is going to collect by selling, that is called as output tax. Again, the rate remains the same. It's 18%. So 18% of, now what's the value? 9,000. On that you have to calculate, and this is the tax collected by the person, tax collected on sale. So that comes to 18 upon 100 into 9,000. So 2 zeros cancelled. So it's going to be 8 9s are 72, 7, and 1,620 rupees. 1,620 rupees. That's the output tax. So the GST he is going to pay, paid by X, that is output tax minus input tax. Input tax, I'll tell you the reason. Because as he has already paid the tax of 1,440, he's going to get the credit of that amount. So actually the GST he has to pay is 1,620 minus 1,440. He has to pay for the extra part that he got from selling. So that comes to 0.8 rupees. That is the GST he has to pay. The third example that I have taken is an elaborate example. There are different stages. Wholesaler has sold the goods to distributor, distributor has sold it to retailer, retailer has sold it to consumer. And for each one, when they have sold it, their taxable value is given to us. So they have asked us to prepare a statement of GST payable under each head, how much GST each one have to pay. So as we saw in the previous example, we need to know the input tax and the output tax to find that out. So what we'll do is, only index, let's start solution. Wholesaler is selling the goods for 5,000. So the GST involved is GST of wholesaler is going to be, what is the rate of tax? GST is at the rate of 12%. So let's find out GST of the wholesaler. So that's going to be 12% of 5,000. So that's going to be 12 upon percent, means upon 100 into 5,000. So that comes to 600 rupees. So in the case of wholesaler, the full amount, that is the 600, is going to be his GST. Now in the case of distributor, for the distributor, the 600 is going to be the price at which the wholesaler has sold, that is the price at which the distributor has purchased. So this 600 is going to be his input tax. Now let's find out the output tax of distributor. That is, what is going to be the output tax? Again, 12% of 6,000. So that is going to be 12 upon 100 into 6,000. That comes to 720 rupees. Now whatever price the distributor sells to the retailer, that is going to be the input tax, as we saw in the previous examples that we took. And what is his output tax? That is how much tax is that he has collected, output tax of the retailer. Again, we'll take 12% of 6,500. That's going to be 12 upon 100 into 6,500. So that comes to 780 rupees. So that is it. So now we need to prepare the statement of GST payable for each one of them, isn't it? So the table, it will consist of person and payable CGST and payable SGST. This is in rupees. CGST, that's the central goods and service tax that has to be paid to the center, and SGST is the state goods and service tax that has to be paid to the state, and that is going to be equally it has to be divided, and payable GST. So these are the columns that we are going to make for the prepare a statement of GST. So the first person is the wholesaler. So wholesaler, you see, the GST paid is 600 rupees. Now, as you know, the GST is divided into equally into CGST and SGST. So, so 600, so 300 CGST and 300 would be the SGST. Next person is the distributor. Now see, the distributor, for him this is the input tax and that is the output tax. So we need to subtract that part, 720 minus 600, because he has already paid that 600 amount that we saw in the previous example. Only that the difference between this example and the previous example was, in the previous examples that we saw, there was only one stage, that is 2 people involved. Now we made this some complex, that is we have in stages what happens when the thing gets sold at stages. So that we are seeing. Okay, so 720 minus 600, because 600 he bought for and 720 he sold for. That, so this is the input tax and this is the output tax. So when I subtract that, that comes to 120. So 120 has to be paid by him, and again equally divided, 60. Then after the distributor is the retailer. retailer. So the retailer again the same thing. For the retailer, the input tax is 720 and the output tax is 780, because when he purchased it, while purchasing he had to pay the tax of 720, that is his input tax, and when he sold it for 6,500, he collected 780 rupees from the consumer. So 780 minus 720, the tax he has to pay is, GST has to pay is 60, and divided in equal 30, 30. So the total GST comes to, CGST comes to 390, the total SGST comes to 390, and overall the total GST payable will be 780 rupees. So that's the answer of the first question. The second part of the question is, at the end, what amount is paid by the consumer? So you see, amount paid by consumer is going to be the amount, the price, the taxable value was 6,500, isn't it? And the GST he has to pay is the total GST, whatever is involved, that is 780. So the amount paid by him is equal to 0.8 to 7,280. So this is the amount he has to pay. Again, see, the retailer sold it for 6,500, and on that the total tax till now is 780. So the consumer has to pay that amount plus the total GST which has been calculated till now. So the total amount he has to pay, the consumer has to pay, is 7,280 rupees. And now what's the third question? The third question is, write which of the invoices issued are B2B and B2C. So you see, tax invoice 1 that is given from the wholesaler to the distributor. See, B2B means business to business and B2C means business to consumer. As you see, he is further selling it, so it's business to business. Consumer, B2C, C stands for consumer who is going to use up that thing. So right now the distributor has taken that and he again sold it. So invoice number 1 is going to be B2B. Again, after that, distributor sales to retailer, again that is going to be tax invoice 2 is also going to be B2B because he is not consuming it. And tax invoice 3, that is from the retailer to the consumer, that is going to be B2C because the consumer is going to consume the product. So this tax invoice, this was from wholesaler. You can write it besides wholesaler to, I'm writing it in short, you write it in detail. Wholesaler to distributor. This one was from distributor to retailer. And the last one invoice was retailer to consumer. This is how the GST sums are done. Practice this, do these sums, and I'm sure you will be able to do the sums, any kind of sums based on the same type of questions. Okay. And if you have any doubt, do ask me in the comment section. And thank you for watching the video.